Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to my live stream. It is Monday, no clue what the day is. I do know that it's Monday, doesn't matter. Oh, the 19th, there you go. And I want to welcome you guys to the chat. I have a couple of things that I want to accomplish over the course of the time that we'll spend together. Give you guys an update on CGC's newest gimmick. And I reached out to them and had a conversation today that was an interesting one. I have a mini haul that I will show you guys. It's a couple of the remaining books from What Was Uncle Thinking. I'll also answer a couple of questions that people were asking me on the video that I put up today about the haul from the storage facility. And then I have a package that showed up that I don't know what's inside. Someone sent it to me. I reached out to the person that I think sent it. I haven't gotten a response. I have no clue what's in it, but we're going to open it up here. So roughly four things that I'm going to try to accomplish. Let me get caught up with the chat here real quick to see who is all here, and then we will jump into this thing. So Hulk Nuts is here. He is first in the chat. Welcome, Hulk Nuts. Comic Books NYC, how you doing, brother? Cosplaying Comics, how you doing? It's good to see you as always. Bake the Snake is here. Los is here. Los, why do people struggle with your name? It is Carlos. Los. It's super simple. I don't know. Thanatos is here. How you doing, brother? Jester Rican, how you doing? It is Big Wheel is here. TJ Watson is in the house. Aska, I guess that's how you say it. It's good to see all of you guys here. A couple of new faces. I'm sorry, I forgot. Comics and Culture. How you doing? Wingnut is also here. It is good to see you guys. The usual suspects are here, plus a couple of new folks. It is always a pleasure when you guys take a couple of moments out of your day to spend hanging out with me. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about is that, and I put this up on this new feature that YouTube rolled out, like this post thing where you can actually put up posts. At the time I was watching this show, so I was pretty pleased to see that they had renewed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a 6th season. I was actually watching, I think I'm on season 5, sitting there watching season 5, and then it popped up that they had renewed for, I think it was a 6th or 7th season. I can't remember. But the good news is that the show is going to continue. And this is, in my opinion, really good news for a couple of reasons. With all of the shows being canceled on Netflix and things like that, there was a lot of speculation that Marvel was starting to pull back a lot of their shows in order to, I guess, put them on their streaming service, which was, I guess I should say, Disney's streaming service. And so if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had gone, then that would have been a sign that maybe they were headed in that direction. But the fact that they've continued it, I think, is a good sign. Unless there is a relationship between ABC and Disney that I'm not aware of. Maybe there is, and maybe there's still something to this thing. But I actually really enjoy Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I started watching season 1 not that long ago and just got on a bender with this thing. And I'm watching it every chance I get. And then I took a break for a couple of months. And just yesterday, I started to watch the episodes again. Definitely enjoying it. If you guys have not seen this, I encourage you guys to check it out. Comic Books NYC says he enjoyed season 1. Says he's on season 2 right now. It is definitely a good show where I just try to squeeze it in as best I can. It's just one of those things, like when my kids go to bed and my wife is sitting there, we may throw it on. But right now I'm splitting my time, when I do have time, between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Superstore, because she's a big fan of comedy. So we try to squeeze in a little bit of everything for everyone. So that's one good news, is that show is continuing. So we'll see. Lo says, I will enjoy next season. This season, with the whole future space thing, is a little bit of a struggle, which is part of what prompted me to take a break. It felt like it had jumped the shark a little bit with that. So we'll see. We'll see how next season goes. So Nick is here. How you doing, Nick? We are just now getting started. I actually put up a 7:30 start time and then realized that the kids were going down a little early, so I had to readjust. So I'm glad that you guys were able to join me. As I mentioned at the start, there are a couple of things that I want to accomplish. One thing was to announce that the Netflix the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, I believe on ABC, is renewed for another season. So I think that's a really good sign. I really enjoy all of the various TV shows, whether they be on Netflix or ABC, and so I'm glad to see that at least one of these shows is actually surviving. So the other thing that I'm going to do, hey brother, what's in the box? Some goodies, I hope. Yeah, we'll see. So this is what arrived today, and it arrived from someone who put their name on here. I didn't readily recognize the name, but what I tend to do is I go back to my emails and I go back to my Instagram messages and I try to search for someone's name. Found somebody that has a name that sort of matches up, sent the person a message trying to find out if they did indeed send this to me and to try to see what's inside. They haven't responded, so I am going to open it up, but I'm not going to say who it is because I'm not quite sure if it's the person that I'm thinking. So we'll pop this open and we will see what is inside. It actually arrived today, and they left it on the front porch, and it is indeed a comic book. I could tell that from the packaging and from how it felt. All right, so we've got a oh, I know who this is. Got it. What's great about this person is he sent me something before which was super cryptic, but he put something on his signature that helps me remember who it is. So shout out to him. All right, so we'll pop this thing open and we will see what is inside of here. If I can get this out. I think I know what this is. It's amazing what jogs your memory. See what this thing is. Oh, cool. I actually just picked these up too. So if you guys watch one of the first videos that I did as part of What Was Uncle Thinking, I actually showed a cool book in here, and this is another one of those because my copy was beat up. So he was kind enough to send me one. This is Web of Spider-Man #5, really cool Doc Ock cover. Mine was just severely damaged from my childhood. I think I bought it that way, probably because it was cheap. So he hooked me up with that. And then also Web of Spider-Man #10. So I definitely appreciate that. Very cool, very cool. All right. So they got that done. Let's see who's all here. John's Comics with Kids is here. Congrats on your win last night. Candy Graham is here. Who all is here? DS Comics is in the house. Good to see you, brother. And I think I said hello to just about everyone else. All right, so if you guys haven't had a chance to watch the video that I released earlier today, you may want to check it out. There are some cool books in that video. One amazing Silver Age book. So if you get a chance, check it out because it's really cool. So instead of doing a video for this last stack of books, I have one more video that'll be coming out tomorrow featuring What Was Uncle Thinking. But instead of doing a last video for just this stack, I decided to just go live and share it as part of what I was doing here. So one book that I picked up, and I don't even think these are in order, so you guys will have to bear with me on that. This is Amazing Spider-Man 560. I can't remember who the artist is that does this like dot matrix stuff, but I saw this book and I just thought it was really cool, so I decided to go ahead and pick this one up. But just a cool Spider-Man cover. I'm not sure if there's any significance to it other than the fact that it was really cool. Here is a John Romita Jr. book, Dan Slott writing. This is Amazing Spider-Man 568. I just think this is a really cool classic Spider-Man costume versus the Symbionite. I think it's really cool. His legs are a little thin, but that's okay. This is 568, New Ways to Die, book 1. Had to pick up another copy of this book. I think I only have one copy of it now, but this is Amazing Spider-Man number 600. Thanatos says chicken legs. I would expect that from Hulk Nuts. or who was that in here with Deadlifter in their name? I would expect that comment from one of you guys. But here's Amazing Spider-Man number 600. What's funny is leg day, right? What's funny is, who is it? King of the Golden State was actually in a comic shop that I've gone to here locally. And he was in there recently. I remember seeing this book when I first came back to collecting on a wall. And the book was, I want to say $700. It was signed by Stan Lee, and it was this book hanging on the wall for like $700, which I just think is an incredible amount of money. Just impressive. I think this is a variant of 600. I've actually never seen it before and haven't had a chance to look it up. Maybe you guys can tell me, but this is another 600. So Wingnut says 600, nice. Yeah, 700. It was crazy. And that's exactly what I did. I walked right out when I saw that price. Not that I was going to buy it off the wall anyway, but it was just crazy. Have to be the joke case of that. Oh, okay. I may have to look that up to make sure, because it doesn't say it and I haven't even popped it out of the plastic, but I had not seen this version of 600. So I had to make sure that I picked it up. Piano Man, how you doing, brother? And then the next book that I picked up, I already have one copy of this, but this is a book that when I first saw it, like months and months ago, I was like, I want that book. And then I could not find it. Then I could find it, but couldn't find it at an affordable price. So I have one copy of it already that I was able to secure out of this collection. When I went back, I decided to get another copy because it is such a really cool book. Amazing Spider-Man number 607. And again, these are definitely not in order, but just a really cool book. A Hulk comic on the wall? Probably not, brother. Not unless it's Hulk 1. And then the next book that I picked up, this ASM 600 wraparound variant cover. Very nice. Thank you, Victor. Oh yeah, I think many of these are J. Scott, especially this one definitely is. I picked up the short J. Scott Campbell run the last time around, and then this was one that I saw that I had to snag again. Oh, Batman. I think it'll be Hulk before it's Batman, to be honest with you. This next one, I don't know who actually did this cover. You guys may be able to tell me. This cover just cracks me up. This is Amazing Spider-Man 611. This has to be a tribute to like Rob Liefeld. I mean, just look at those pouches. Just look at all those pouches. It's just crazy. This is just a cool cover. And I think there's two versions of this. I want to say one has Deadpool in the bubble, and then one has maybe Spider-Man in the bubble. I can't remember, but I think this is the better of the two. So just a cool cover. I just thought this was just a funny one that I had not seen before, along the lines of that Bride of Venom book that I picked up. Just books you see that over and over and over, and then you just, when you see it, you just have to get the book, you know? So this one here, this is, I don't even know who did the cover art on this one, but I thought it was cool. It is Amazing Spider-Man 622. Just a different kind of book here. I thought it was a cool one to pick up. And then this one features this, I think it's the Stealth Suit and Smythe, or some guy's first appearance. I can't remember. I think I have two copies of this already. But again, when you see certain books, in my opinion, especially if they're Spider-Man, you have to pick them up. This is Amazing Spider-Man 650. This is just a pretty cool cover right here. So I went ahead and snagged this one. I already have two really good copies of this one, but again, it's a really, really gorgeous cover. So which one is a hot book, Victor? This one? Is this the one you're talking about? Yep, I think it is the first Stealth Suit. And I think it's also someone else's first appearance. I looked it up once upon a time when I got my first copy, but off the top of my head, I can't remember. But this is the first appearance of the Stealth Suit, which I think is really cool. And then this one was one that I just picked up just because it's an understated cover that, in my opinion, actually says a lot. It is number 655. Just a gorgeous, really simple, understated cover, but it says a lot. So I thought this was really cool. Dan Slott's the writer on this. I'm not quite sure who the cover artist is. It says Martin underneath. I'm not sure if that's interior or just cover, but, and then Nick is saying every ASM book is hot right now. Well said. Well said. Every single ASM book is hot. And then I picked this book up just because it is, I think it's an Alex Ross cover, and it is gorgeous. This is a gorgeous cover to me. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 15. That is just a really, really cool cover right there. So you cannot go wrong with something like this. So, J. Scott Campbell, exactly. So John's Comments with Kids says, replace Deadpool first appearance with Fantastic Four 1 or Daredevil 1. Brother, if I had Fantastic Four number 1, it would definitely be on that wall. Trust me when I tell you. Here's a Green Lantern book. I do own one. It didn't help me during trivia night, or I'm sorry, during Comic Wars. I still lost, and I even tried. It's a great cover. I still haven't read it. I refuse to read it because I lost. At some point I will, but this is, I think this is a really cool cover that I saw, and I just had to pick it up. And you can tell Alex Ross's work in many cases. It has like, I don't know, it's like it's a tone to his work, that white, like just coating across it is a telltale sign for me. That's how I always am able to spot his stuff. But you know, you've got Mary Jane here rocking the Iron Spider suit. Can't go wrong with a little bit of that action. So yeah, Comic Books NYC says it has a little bit of a glow to it. You're probably right about that. Nick says Alex Ross, King of Realism. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I was on Instagram earlier, and no, this is Adi Gronoff. Adi Gronoff has a new Amazing Spider-Man book coming out, Amazing Spider-Man number 12. If you guys have not seen this book, you gotta get this one. This cover, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. This thing is incredible. It is just incredible. I'll be snacking a couple of Todd McFarlane popping up. We don't need that. We don't need that kind of action here. But if you guys can see this thing is just really, really nice. You know, so just a really cool cover. This is the cover of number 12. This is when I think Ed McGuinness is actually coming back, and I think Adi Gronoff is doing the cover, and then Ed is doing the interior panels. At least that's what I think is happening. So Red Cap says Alex Ross uses watercolor, no digital. He uses a couple of different things, doesn't he? Something, isn't it called? Is it ganache? Is that watercolor? I've watched a couple of his videos, and you know, he talks about paint and paper like nobody's business, and I don't necessarily know what he's talking about, but he has spoken about watercolor before. But the video that I watched not that long ago was talking about something like ganache or something like that. So Zach and McFarlane should have a baby. I'm not touching that one, Marcus. All right, so I will recap all of that stuff for the folks that are joining in just a little bit. I'll go back and kind of recap some of those things, but I want to kind of continue moving through the little agenda that I kind of highlight. Yeah, how do you say that, Whitewell? Can I get the phonetic spelling? I need the phonetic spelling over here. All right, so I don't know if you guys saw this earlier today, but I'm sitting in my office and I go to my phone to check my emails, and there is an email from CGC. So I'm like, oh, let's see what this is, right? So I pop it open, and it starts off with a photo, a perfect tan CGC Amazing Fantasy number 15. So as soon as I see that, I'm like, okay, I'm in. I want to know more. Tell me more, right? So as I read on, I read what happens to be, in my opinion, one of the most cryptic, confusing emails that I have read in a long time. I reached the end of it, and I still didn't know what I had read. So I read it again, and I got a little bit more the second time. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to just send an email. So I sent an email to CGC asking, like, I think I had like 5 questions. And 15 minutes later, I got a response back. And the response was basically 2 sentences, and it was full of grammatical errors. Now, I mean, no one's perfect. I send emails sometimes where I reread them after I've sent them. I'm like, ooh, I messed up. So I'm not bagging on the person for making errors, right? But the email response didn't necessarily answer my questions. And then, so I basically decided to Google a little bit more to try to see if I could get some information. But the headline for this email was CGC and Harvester Investments partner on label for Marvel comic foils. Now, from reading that headline, my impression is that CGC has partnered with somebody to create labels. That was my takeaway from this thing. And so I read the article, and it doesn't give me more detail than what I was able to basically glean from the headline. And so I Googled Harvester Investments. And what I found is that this is basically like a gold, silver, precious metal kind of company, right? That's essentially what they are. And I think the post has actually been taken down with the details. There's like, if you go to their website, it actually generates an error right now. So you actually cannot even read the details of this thing. But it seems that what they've done, what CGC and this Harvester company have done, is essentially taken 1 ounce of gold and 1 ounce of silver, and they flattened it, and they have colored the gold or the silver to resemble the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15. And I think that there's like a page in the middle, like the last page, and then a back cover, I think, kind of sandwiched together in what appears to be like a CGC holder. I don't know how all it works, and that's why I'm not being cryptic on purpose, but I'm just a little lost on some of the details of this thing. But essentially it is, I think, a flattened 1 ounce of either gold or silver. And what's interesting, what really caught my attention was the price. When I looked at it, the price for the silver for the early release, which I guess is like 1,000 copies, or I don't know, 100 of the 1,000 that are being created, the cost is $2.99 for this thing. And the regular, which I guess is not the early release, it's the later releases, is $149. So to me, when I read 1 ounce of silver, $299 or $149, that kind of caught my attention. And so I looked up the price of silver. The price of silver today is $14.50 an ounce. So somebody do the math on that. I don't know how you sell something that is essentially worth $14.50 for either $299 or $149. It is perplexing. And it prompted me to dig a little deeper. So I did. And I looked and I found that they had a gold version as well. Again, very confusing, cryptic message on CGC's email. So I read the gold version and on this site, and it says the gold early release is $6,999 and the regular is $5,400. And I don't know what the price of gold is. I didn't look that one up. I was more focused on the silver, but my guess is that the price of gold is nowhere near $7,000 an ounce. I've bought gold before, I've sold gold before, and I don't think that right now it is near $7,000 an ounce. So I don't know if you guys can look that up, but it seems crazy expensive. And then I just wonder how much of that money is going from Harvester back to CGC for them to use their label. And also one of the things that was interesting is that they made a big deal out of like Stan Lee in here. It's kind of like Stan Lee's, what did they say? Most recognizable. They say here, not only does this comic feature the first appearance of Spider-Man, but it is widely considered one of Stan Lee's greatest works. It is also known as the comic that set the storytelling style for the modern Marvel universe. So just very interesting that they sent it out and that it really, in my opinion, doesn't really have too much to do with comics. And it was just a little confusing because honestly, I thought that what they were doing was you could send in an Amazing Fantasy and get the label that was made out of silver or gold. But that does not seem to be the case. It seems that the whole thing is essentially made out of either silver or gold. So who knows? I just thought it was a very interesting thing. But if it's produced specifically for the slab, does the 10 mean? No, the 10 doesn't mean anything. It's not, they are not doing anything with an actual comic. They are basically taking, I think, 1 ounce of gold or 1 ounce of silver, flattening it and basically making it look like the comic, and then slapping a label on there that says, you know, CGC 10, and that's it. There is no comic involved. I don't even think there's paper involved, to be honest with you. So I just think that it's I just think it's interesting. So CGC's 9.9 certificate of 1 Bitcoin. Is that gold? Is that the gold price, $12.24 an ounce? Is that the price that I'm seeing here? It's just all fascinating. They look really cool, but probably aren't worth it. Yeah, I mean, they do look cool, right? But I mean, basically it's you know, it's what, how much gold, how much silver? $14.50 worth of silver that you would basically pay $300 for, because it looks like a comic. So I don't know. It's just very interesting stuff. All right, so the good news on a different topic, a couple of additional things I'll mention. I am joining Comics with Bueller this coming Friday on his channel. I don't even know the time, maybe 5:30 or something like that, Pacific time. I'll be joining him on his channel. We're going to be sitting there having a conversation about graded comics versus raw comics. So that should be interesting. It's the first time I've ever been on Bueller's show, so it's going to be interesting just kind of having a conversation with him. So hopefully you guys can join us over there. I think it'll be pretty cool. The other thing is that I am continuing to dig into one of the issues that I've been talking about recently, which is the health of the comic book market. I actually reached out to a couple of industry leaders today that are involved in like the sale and distribution and the monitoring of comic books, and asked them a ton of questions about the health of the comic book market, the state of affairs, how what's happening right now in 2018, how does that compare to what happened back in the 90s? And what's great is that these people were actually around in the 90s in the comic book industry. They provided me with a tremendous amount of insight. I'm actually thinking my way through how I want to package this up to deliver out to you guys. I'm not sure whether I'll do it as a pre-recorded video, or if I'll do it as part of a live stream where you guys can kind of interact with me and we can kind of walk through, you know, the thoughts around the 90s versus now. I want to think more about that, but it was very interesting getting a lesson in the history of comic books today in terms of the overall market. And there were some very interesting comparisons that were drawn between what happened in the 90s to comics and what has happened in other industries that have also suffered booms and bursts. So definitely more to come on that topic. I find it to be a topic that I really find interesting, and so I want to keep digging and see what I can learn, and then from there see what I can share with you guys. So stay tuned for some of that stuff. Nick says Regie plus Bueller plus awesome. Oh, Regie times Bueller plus awesome. You guys are hilarious. Marvel team up Bueller and Regie. You guys are hilarious. So yeah, it's definitely going to go down this Friday. It should definitely be a fun show. Bueller always has a good time. I was watching this dude earlier today with his coffee comments and comics, and he just makes me want to spend money on comics and drink coffee. That's all that show does for me. You know, I couldn't wait to get home to drink some coffee, just because he makes it sound so good, you know. But Bueller does a really good job. He's a good dude. Behind the scenes, he and I talk not often as we used to, but we do touch base on a frequent basis just to kind of see what's going on, and he's doing some amazing things. So I'm definitely pleased to be joining his channel. All right. So let me recap this stuff for you guys, and then I'm going to head over and actually watch some Superstore with the wife. I can hear her moving around out there, so I'm going to hook up with her. So I want to show you guys first a couple of books that came in from my buddy Omega Comics, who hooked me up with a couple of books that I needed for my personal collection, but ended up getting another place. So I'm just going to stick these in the box nevertheless, because he sent them and I am thankful for that. He sent me a copy of Web of Spider-Man #5, really cool Doc Ock cover. My original from my childhood is severely damaged, so he hooked me up with that. And he also sent me #10. So definitely appreciate the hookup on these two books, Omega Comics. Thank you, brother. And then also run through a mini haul that is a continuation of what was Uncle thinking. Instead of doing a video for this thing, I decided to share it as part of this live stream. So really cool, Amazing Spider-Man 560. I don't think there's anything significant about a couple of these books, but other than the fact that I saw them, I thought they were cool, so I decided to pick them up. So you've got Amazing Spider-Man 560, picked up 568, which is a very cool book. Old costume, or new costume, old costume, whatever. Big Wheel, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. What does it say? Why don't you make a video? We can all show our LCS and maybe get you some hard data, actual sales. Yeah, no, and that's what I am doing, Big Will. I am actually pulling together sales data. This is actual sales data from a couple of from industry leaders. And so it'll be interesting. Stay tuned. And I want to hear your thoughts after I figure out my format and release this video. But everything that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get actual hard numbers instead of like anecdotal evidence. So I think you and I are definitely on the same page. But Big Will, thank you for that super chat. I definitely appreciate that. Here's a very hefty Amazing Spider-Man 600. Very hefty book here. And then a variant of 600 that I've never seen before. So I'm definitely pleased to have these in there. I wonder if this is the same number of pages as Spider-Man 800, which is a hefty book as well. They bound this one a little bit better than 800. Should have learned a lesson there. Amazing Spider-Man #607. Very cool book here featuring Black Cat. Can't go wrong with the little Black Cat and J. Scott Campbell. Here is Amazing Spider-Man 611. Another really cool cover here. I'm not sure who the cover artist is, but you can't go wrong with pouches, you know? Amazing Spider-Man 622, little Morbius action there. Here is 650 featuring the stealth costume, stealth suit. And then here is 655, just a really understated, clean cover. Love a good white cover. This one is there's actually no scuff marks on this thing. It really, really is such a clean cover. And then the last one is Mary Jane in the Iron Spider. This is a little Alex Ross action here. Can't go wrong with that. So I'm super pleased to have this one. As soon as I saw this one in the box, I was like, I am taking her home. And then I kept flipping and there were more and more Alex Ross covers. And I was like, you know what? My short box is full. We're going to stop here. And so I just snagged the one. So there you go. The other announcements that I made, if you guys are joining late, is that I am going to be on Comics with Bueller's channel this coming Friday. I do believe at 5:30. The other thing is that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been renewed for another season. Huge fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I'm not sure if you guys are, but with all the Netflix shows being canceled, the Luke Cage, the Iron Fist, I was waiting to see what was going to happen with this show, and it looks like it's been continued. And I don't know about Runaways. I don't know if Runaways has been continued. I actually saw a couple of their first episodes in season 1, but haven't really watched it since, so I'm not quite sure what's happening with that one. So get caught up with the chat here. Brett Hess says great covers. Definitely. That Alex Ross ASM 600 cover is one of my favorites. Oh, that is an Alex Ross as well? I don't think I knew that. It makes sense though. It has that powdery white sheen or powdery white coating to it, I guess, a little bit, but I did not realize that. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Love that cover. Steve Rogers, how you doing, brothers? Good to see you. Pick up Marvel. Someone else had also suggested it. I'm gonna write myself a note for that because I actually had the Marvels with, I think it might have been Angel on the cover. And it got away from me. It was right when I first started collecting and I was picking, or I should say, when I was collecting again earlier this year, I picked up a ton of collections all at once and I was like selling stuff off, and I think I got rid of that book. So I may have to look into that. Piano Man says he likes Luke Cage. I actually enjoyed aspects of Luke Cage. You know, one of the things that I think I heard about that show was I think the writers wanted to do 10 episodes and I think Netflix wanted 13. They did 13, and I think it kind of stretched out what could have been a cool storyline into something that got a little painful at points. But unfortunately, that show has been discontinued. I'm not sure if they're going to do the Power Man and Iron Fist team up. Only time will tell whether they do something like that, so we'll see. Comic Books NYC says Runaways season 2 is going to be back, he believes. So yeah, we'll see. I definitely enjoyed it. Thanatos, if you have not seen the latest What Was Uncle Thinking, watch it, my friend, and watch it until the end. Trust me when I tell you. Mr. D says the only one that matters is Punisher. Punisher is a beast. That Punisher is really, really good. The guy that plays him does an excellent job. And to be honest with you, Iron Fist season 1 was trash. It was painful trash where I watched it and I was like, this next one's going to get better. This next one's going to get better. And it didn't. Season 2 though, season 2 was pretty good. The guy learned to act. He got a better haircut. He stopped being that woe is me walking around barefoot in New York City. And what is the meaning of life? Season 2, I think, was pretty good. And the way that it ended, I thought was awesome. With the 2 Iron Fist guns, that was cool. That was cool. And then Chris says he co-signs that Marvels is a great series. So I'm going to have to check that out for sure. Season 2 of Runaways releases all at once on December 21st. There you go, Ian. I'm guessing it's Ian, not Ian. But thank you for that, Ian. I appreciate it. That 600 kind of reminds me of the old Spider-Man TV show. How so? That 600 actually reminds me of one of those 800 covers with that same kind of white finish over it. And it may have both been an Alex Ross. I'm honestly not sure. Why are some MCU shows so reluctant to make it more clear they're within the same universe? I'm honestly not sure, Marcus. To be honest with you, brother, I'm guessing it depends on who's writing the shows, but I'm not quite sure. Mr. D says Daredevil was good. He liked season 3. I mean, there's a lot of really good shows out there, to be honest with you. I think Daredevil was incredible. Punisher was incredible. I enjoyed, I think it was season 1 of Jessica Jones. Season 2 was a little bit of a struggle, but season 1 was pretty solid. It's unfortunate. It really is. And then, you know, you have the Gifted show, then you have the Runaways, then you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, there's a ton of shows out there. And I think to some degree, I want to say that the shows are trying to cater to different types of audiences. Yes, they're pulling from the same source material, that being Marvel Comics, but I think they're trying to appeal to different audiences. And so like, even I think it's, is it Runaways or Gifted? It's one of them that when they come back, supposedly there's going to be more like, more comic-like effects in there. And so I think it's a point, I think, where they're trying to get people on board and to entice people to get on board with the characters before making it be more of a sci-fi comic book thing. At least that's my understanding. Oh, you got Legion. You got Legion there too. Yeah, Legion is just freaky. I started watching that, and that show is freaky, you know? You got Cloak and Dagger. I mean, times are good right now for comic books. And well, I should say comic book TV shows and movies, right? I remember Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, right? That was like my I mean, that was my superhero stuff, you know, and I always wanted to see what we're seeing now. And so it's an amazing time that we get to live in, where we get to enjoy such amazing TV shows and amazing movies that are coming from the source material that we all love. And yeah, it's not a direct adaptation, which is fine, because at least it keeps it interesting for us to some degree, because we kind of know the true story, but it also makes it an easy entry point, I think, for the casual viewer who isn't a hardcore comic book fan. So I think it's definitely some cool stuff. Tippy Toes versus the Marvel Universe. Yeah, Nick is breaking down some of the Luke Cage stuff. He says he wanted to see season 3. I wanted to see the mob boss Luke Cage too. I was looking forward to that, to be honest with you. There was definitely some good stuff. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Lost in with the Inhumans. Yeah, the outer space stuff was a little bit too much for me. It was a little too much for me. As a whole, I've enjoyed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but this last season 5, it's been a little bit of a struggle, which is why I took like a 2-month break from it, just because I was struggling to get into it. Oh man, the $6 Million Man, sign me up, brother. And the $6 Million Woman, sign me up. I watched all that stuff. Ruben, how you doing, brother? It is good. It is good to see you. So yeah, I mean, we've definitely come a long way, man. And in like comic books, and now, you know, it is pervasive. It is everywhere now, you know, which I think makes, you know, to some degree, in other comic books, I think a little bit more acceptable, because they serve as amazing source material for some pretty fun movies, you know. All right, so with that, guys, I am going to say my goodbyes. I'm going to go out here and spend a little bit of time with the wife before heading out to the gym. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. I have videos coming out every single day this week. All of my videos are being released at 3:30 except for Saturday. I have a really cool video coming out at 7 o'clock in the morning. And as I mentioned, I'm also going to be on Comics with Bueller this Friday at 5:30, I do believe. So I'm hoping that you guys can check out these videos and also join Comics with Bueller and I this coming Friday. As always, guys, if you need me, feel free to reach out to me here on the channel or send me a message on Instagram. Thanks a lot and have a good night.